Hey everybody, Sports Counterpoints podcast. Welcome back. Thanks for checking us out. I'm GB. Got Brian, got Coop. What's happening, brothers?
What's going on?
We're
Man,
back.
back to it. We're back. Yeah. Trying to keep a little cadence going, keep the show going. Thank you for everybody who listens. Find us on your favorite podcast platform. We're on YouTube. We're on Anchor. We probably on your grandma's radio. So just rock with us one time. You know what I mean? So Sports Counterpoints podcast, August 31st, 2022. This year is flying by as all the other ones have, I'm seeing. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Serena Williams retiring, man. The GOAT is calling it, is lacing up. She's hanging up the racket after probably this last Open. Talk about some NFL cuts that maybe surprised us. We're going to talk about the Lakers moves because we're all Laker fans, even if we're not fans of the moves. We're going to talk about live golf and the PGA a little bit. And also, we'll tease next week, September 8th, 4 p.m., 7 p.m. PST. We're going to do a live show. So we'll mention that again at the end, but rock with us. We'd love to get your comments and have everybody join us. So, starting with the GOAT, man, to me, I mean, arguably the greatest tennis player ever, but Serena Williams is lacing it up, man. She's hanging them up. What do you guys have thought about obviously her career? I mean, we know what you think, but her impact, and we're another GOAT that's gonna be hanging them up pretty soon.
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, the first thing to talk about is tonight, right? So tonight she just beat the second seed. ESPN called it a battle. So congratulations to her to advancing. Being in a sort of like a March Madness situation where it's every match can be your last. And she's stepping up a little bit. She's trying to relive the moment. The last time we saw someone who was able to actually go all the way in their last event was Kobe, right, when he dropped 60 on his going out party. It would be great to see Serena advance at least into the quarters or semis or even the finals, and so I hope she does that. But yeah, when it comes to the question of if she's the greatest, in my opinion, of course she is. She's also American, and so she's done that. I mean, Steffi Graf is obviously in that conversation. Steffi has more actual titles but one less major title. So, but Serena just has revolutionized the sport and has just been outstanding. So I don't think anyone would take anything away from Steffi Graf, but Serena is the best in my book, and not only is she the best female tennis player ever, but she may very well be or go down as the best female athlete ever. And that says a lot. There's FloJo. There's going to be people like Candace Parker at the end of her career. There's a lot of really, really amazingly talented females out there, and Serena may very well be the top of that mountain when it's all said and done. Jason, what do you
Yeah,
got?
yeah. Real talk. Yeah, I agree with everything that you said. Serena got me to watch women's tennis. Not saying there weren't any good players or great players before her, but she actually got me to the TV set when she was playing. Um, Venus was very good too, but Serena was the one that always got me to watch. Or even if I couldn't watch for a long period of time, I would at least watch a little bit. 73 career singles titles, 39 Grand Slam titles as singles and doubles. I mean, I agree. She's definitely the best tennis player ever when for the women's bracket, but could be the best female athlete ever. And she's definitely in discussion as just best tennis player, one of the best tennis players ever to
Okay.
play. But the thing about Serena though, that no other women's tennis player has ever done is that she brought stars to the tennis matches. Stars weren't coming to the tennis matches like that. I mean, you might find one or two here or there, but she was bringing out known people who everybody knew to watch her play tennis, and that probably doesn't mean nothing to a lot of people, but it definitely means a lot as far as her cachet in the sport and how big of a draw that she is. So,
Tiger and
congrats.
Patty LaBelle were there tonight.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
See,
was
she, you
for
know,
a for a break round.
right, and Patty LaBelle, she's probably what 85. So I mean, it's something. It's something.
Didn't y'all go to high school together?
Yeah, okay.
No. But yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
yeah, 100% agree, man. I mean, it's really, you can't say enough. Like, she's, like you said, revolutionized the sport from the West Coast too. You know what I mean? From born in Michigan, they say, but Compton raised. You know what I mean? So Just nothing but respect for her and Venus, like as you said. But Serena was the one, and is the one. So, much respect for whatever she does next. I'm sure we'll still be seeing plenty of her as she goes into her next stage of career. But the best to ever do it, man, point blank. So we'll definitely miss you, but like you're not done yet. So like Brian said, get to the finals, win this damn thing on the way out. That'd be, man, best way to bow out is on top, as you should be. So word to Serena, man. Respect always. One of the greatest. So yeah, definitely. Like we said, respect, nothing but love for Serena. We're sliding over a little bit to football. It's football season. I am extremely excited to be back, man. Starting next week, we have football, pro football every week until February, which is amazing. So as part of that, teams got to get to the 53-man roster. We have some cuts. Any surprise cuts? It could be for your team, could be for any team. Anything that you kind of were surprised at or happy to see, or any thoughts on kind of as these rosters get whittled
Well,
down.
well, I can definitely start on my team. The 49ers gave a guy named Nate Sudfeld $2 million to be the backup, and it was all guaranteed money, and they just cut him.
He was the
That
backup to the backup.
He was about right. That's surprising that he was supposed to back up Trey Lance, and now he's backing up nobody. And also, they cut Trey Sermon, who they
Saw
drafted in the
that.
third round
Saw
last
that.
year. I know Brian had some things to say about him last year, like why is this guy not playing? Why is he not playing? And my only thing was I thought they drafted him for Trey Lance because he knows how to run that old, run pass option on, you know, that little running game thing that they know how to do at Ohio State. So I thought it was for that. And Trey Lance is now the quarterback, and this dude still isn't on the roster. So despite all the stuff that John Lynch said, I always say, don't go by what everybody says, just go by their actions. And the action is, even though he said all that nice stuff about him, they just cut him. So obviously it wasn't all that. But that surprised me on my team. Brian, any cuts surprised you on your team or throughout the league?
Well, yeah, I'll talk about my team. And what surprised me was that they got rid of all their backup quarterbacks. So for the entire preseason, they have not played Kirk Cousins at all. They have not played the anybody at all other than Kellen Mond and Sean Mannion, and they cut both of them. And that just goes to show how bad that preseason was, and it was painful to watch. Playing both of your guys' team. I mean, they were just awful. There was a little bit of hope that Kellen Mond might show some ability to develop, but clearly the coaches said nope, and literally just emptied the QB room. So they have not one person on their roster with a snap from the preseason at quarterback, and that includes Kirk Cousins, who hasn't played. So that was a pretty big and an interesting move. The other one that I thought was pretty interesting happened today. The Vikings traded a seventh round and a conditional fourth round pick for Jalen Reagor out of Philadelphia, who just so happens to have been the very pick right before Justin Jefferson a couple years ago. So I do think it's pretty interesting that one, Philadelphia gave up on Jalen Reagor. Two, that he ended up going to the team that that ultimately won the thing, because there was a conversation about who was going to be better, Jalen Reagor or Justin Jefferson. Jefferson won, and so now we have both of those guys. Now, Jalen Reagor has something like 13 catches in 2 years and like 75 yards, and has played in 28 games, basically just running routes for a living. But there's some reason to believe that he had some talent that's not that far gone, that he was thought of as a top wide receiver in the NFL draft. So I find that one a little interesting. And if anything else, it'll just add some depth. I mean, obviously the Vikings have their one and their two guys pretty well laid in. KJ Osborne is no joke at 3. And so, they have a decent wide receiver core, but it was an interesting move nonetheless, if for any other reason that it was the guy that was picked over Justin Jefferson by the Philadelphia Eagles just a couple years ago. So those moves, go ahead.
No, it's you're running the Rams offense. So, I mean, you can't have enough wide receivers when you're running the Rams offense. So I guess he figured he can use them for something, Maybe he might be useful. If he's useful, I mean, he'll get it out of him,
I don't know how you run any offense when you don't have a quarterback who took a snap in preseason. But we'll see. When the quarterback hasn't thrown a ball, and let's just all be honest. I mean, Kirk Cousins doesn't always do the greatest when trying to adjust. It's going to be an interesting first week, and of course, our opening week is at home against the Green Bay Packers in a not only a big rivalry game, but an important divisional game. Those division games always make a huge difference. It would have been real nice to have opened with Detroit or the Bears this season. But it wasn't meant to be. So my good friends who are Green Bay Packer fans are likely going to be able to rib me a little bit after that first week, because it's going to be real hard to see how they're going to be able to put it together, without any snaps from any of them. Justin Jefferson didn't play. I think Adam Thielen ran like a couple of routes.
Right.
Dalvin Cook didn't play. Kirk Cousins didn't play. They got a whole new defense. They got an offensive line. They got a new center. Yeah.
I defend the Vikings. Let me tell you, before you go, Glenn, I'm gonna defend the Vikings, and here's why. Kevin Connell, he came from the Rams.
First time you've ever said that, but carry on.
I'm sorry. He came from the Rams. Sean McVay doesn't believe in playing starters in the preseason. So he just did the same thing that he's been seeing McVay do.
He did his first year to teach him the offense. He did his first year.
And since then,
okay. That's because there was some semblance of understanding of what the team was doing. We're starting from scratch. Like there's nothing about what we did last year that got carried over. We're running we went from a 4-3 to a 3-4. We're running a different offense that's pass heavy. And
maybe he saw enough in practice.
I was about to say, in honor of right, exactly, in honor of one of the greatest of hoops, man. We're not talking about a game. We talking about practice. Not a game.
Glenn. Oh no, go ahead. Oh no, I'm sorry.
I just said it's just gonna be a real interesting game. The other thing that I was just telling Derek about as it relates to the Green Bay Vikings game is that I found it weird that it seems obvious that they're going to have the nationally televised game, because the Vikings in Green Bay in Minnesota is an afternoon game. That never happens. It's always a morning game. And it's on Fox opposite the Raiders Chargers game on CBS. So the only explanation for that is that they're going to make it a nationally televised Fox game. And then there's going to be the nationally televised CBS game, which means that we're going to get whooped, and we're going to get whooped on national TV. So it's going to be
it's a different Packers team. Yeah, it's a different Packers team.
That's a different
Packers
put
it together too.
I don't know about that.
They still got Rodgers, but they got to put it together too. And he ain't throwing no snaps either.
Rodgers.
Yeah. Okay. He didn't throw nothing in the preseason either. So it's
Jason. Don't bet on the Vikings.
Okay.
Don't do that.
No. Well, everybody, we have a live show next week from Brian's house, and we will probably make a prediction on that game, all of us. But I'll just save that till then. But GB, I saw the belt company.
Man, Alex that's Leatherwood. Funny as hell, bro. The belt company. Alex Leatherwood gone out of there, man.
Any surprises for you?
Nah, teams get a new GM, get a new coach. They get rid of Gruden did the same thing. He got rid of a bunch of cats that were from the previous regime. Coaches do that. Leatherwood I think he can be one of those guys, but he didn't look like he's producing quick enough to stay in that offense. And the offense is going to be pretty different than what it was last year. And he wasn't, I will say that Colton Miller was kind of the same thing his first year. They drafted him, Gruden and Mayock. He was not good that first year. Second year, he's been very, very solid. He's actually, and then going forward, been one of the better linemen we have.
Probably got on steroids, but go ahead.
I was hoping the same for Leatherwood. He didn't. It's cool. My biggest surprise was Kenyon Drake, honestly.
He got cut?
He got cut. I thought that was surprising. And then Cole, the wide receiver, getting cut was surprising. They traded Trayvon Mullen, which I thought was interesting because Trayvon had some good plays at cornerback. But Kenyon Drake, I thought, one from playing Madden and kind of seeing how he was and his speed, his ability to catch out of the backfield, I thought was going to play really well into previous Josh McDaniels offenses that I've witnessed. So I was pretty surprised to see him go, but that must mean a lot for the rookies that we got for Zamir White. And I can't think of the other guy's name, but I think we're carrying 5 running backs. So they must have seen a lot with the rookies. We got Amir Abdullah, Shout out to our cousin. We got plenty of dudes out there. So that was probably the biggest surprise to me. I get it with all those running backs in there. I was just surprised that it was him. He's coming off an injury, but I thought Kenyon Drake was going to be a good point to this team. So that was probably my biggest one. The rest of them weren't terribly surprising. Getting to this 53-man roster.
Well, if Josh McDaniels cuts you on offense, because I think Josh McDaniels is a smart offensive guy. I don't know how he'll do as a head coach, but I do believe he knows offense. So if he's cutting you, it's obviously something that he sees in you that you're not going to cut it. For him. And that Leatherwood guy. To be honest with you, I don't know if you was keeping up with the headlines throughout the season or the preseason, whatever. They moved him from different tackle spots, different guard spots. They
Same thing
benched him.
last year.
They put him back in the lineup, and it just wasn't working pretty much. And the offensive line, McDaniel said, it's still kind of unsettled, but this guy is not going to be a part of it. So I mean, at least
he
addition by subtraction, I guess.
Couldn't get there, so I understand. I mean, it is what it is. We're gonna see what happens, but really interesting how that goes.
But
Bears
Jason,
picked him up too, so the
Jason,
Bears
since
picked him
our
up off
last
waivers.
show, the whole Garoppolo re-signing happened. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so a lot of people took it as an indictment against Trey Lance, and I didn't. I took it as an indictment against two people. First of all, against Jimmy himself. Nobody wanted him. If he would have got cut, he wouldn't have got paid this year. I mean, am I right? He's getting some money now, staying with the 49ers as a backup. So he hasn't had a playbook. He doesn't have a playbook. Well, he probably has one now, but he didn't. He wasn't practicing. I mean, he knows the offense we ran last year, but we're running new stuff this year for Trey Lance because obviously they're two different quarterbacks. So it's an indictment against him that nobody wanted him. Yeah, he could be a free agent next year, blah, blah, blah. And him and his agent have confirmed if another team wants him, they're definitely going to listen. The Niners will let him go. So I think it's an indictment against him. But the second person it's an indictment against is against that guy, Nate Sutfield, I talked about. $2 million guaranteed for a backup. Now you're out the door. They kept Brock Purdy, who was a 7th round pick out of Iowa State. They kept him on the roster. Yeah. So B Purdy. Yeah, they kept him. And so, Garoppolo coming back, he has no options. The 49ers obviously have the best backup in the league now because he can start for, I can think of 12 teams he can start for right now. But
they didn't think so.
What? Right, boy, that's true too, right? Because if they thought he was that good, but personally, I think 12. But
I understand.
But yeah, it was actually kind of fun now because Garoppolo came back. I mean, how does it feel walking back into that locker room? You're not the starter. Everybody know your job was getting was getting snatched from you.
I'll tell you what. Give me $6 million, and I ain't coming in.
Oh, I hear you. But then people are like, "Well, how do you think Trey Lance feel?" I'm like, I don't care. It's the NFL. Produce.
You got a ball.
Yeah, you got a ball. Right, exactly. Make it happen. I mean, shit. Jimmy had to do it last year, and you were behind him. Now he's behind you. Make it happen. I don't have any sympathy.
I think it's very important to have a very solid backup in the league because you never know what happens.
No.
And I think of the Eagles in a Super Bowl run when Carson Wentz did what he could do. He went out, and Nick Foles was able to carry him the rest of the way because they had a solid QB that could run the offense. You have a lot of teams, quarterback gets hurt. Happened to us in 2016. Carr got hurt. It was completely done with. There was not even a mention that we might win a game once he was out. So I think it's smart to have a solid backup like that.
Are you indicting our class move of picking up your backup? Nick Mullins is our backup now?
Oh God, that dude's
he's both of our backups now. I like.
Man.
See, the thing is this though. Me and Coop were at the game, the last Battle of the Bay, when the Raiders played the Niners in Santa Clara, and Nick Mullins was going nuts. Now the reads were there because Foles was wide open. I could have made that passes.
And Glenn, what I tell you during the game, you asked me. I said he's not good. He's only throwing 3 passes.
Well, all of them was for touchdowns.
Slant and roll out. That's it.
Man, everyone was for TD. So, and then I remember a game he played against the Packers in Green Bay, and y'all damn near won that game with him. He was slanging it. So I gave him that. I remember watching that game, but I didn't watch the rest of them. Right, I saw those 2, very small sample size. He looked solid. So
he's bad. We can let him go. He went to Jacksonville.
Brian, y'all had to have somebody. I mean, unless Uncle Rico was coming from Napoleon Dynamite, like y'all had no quarterback options.
But Brian wanted either Willie Beeman or
straight up, bro.
Willie Beeman had a pretty decent record. He won more clutch games than Kirk Cousins did.
Oh man. What was the character from Longest Yard? Adam Sandler. You want him too? You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna need I mean, I think it's Cousins' time, man. This is
right. And you guys extended him a year or two, so
gotta stopgap him until they can get someone else. And they didn't have him on the roster, clearly.
I don't think Kirk Cousins is that bad. I don't think he's terrible.
I don't think he's that good either.
I was
I
gonna
mean, I
say,
don't. You know,
well,
so
we all seen the movie. That boy good.
damn, that boy good. That's what I'm gonna say when we watching the game at Brian House.
Yeah.
Damn, that boy can throw.
And I'll be
Good-
right.
good
I
and
know what Brian's
terrible.
gonna say. He's gonna have 300 yards. He's gonna have 2
His
TDs.
stats will look outstanding.
Yeah.
His
And they ain't
stats will
gonna win.
look outstanding, and
And they
we're
ain't
gonna
gonna win.
lose. lose. You know,
Yeah.
everyone. You're gonna look at the box score and say there's absolutely no way that the Vikings lost that game, and then they will have lost. Now,
boy
look,
ballin'.
hopefully a new head coach can change
Yeah.
that, but it's hard to put all those pieces together with no preseason, and all those moving pieces and so on and so forth.
You see the Cowboys? They cut all their quarterbacks and kept Dak. They're hoping they make through waivers so they can try them on the practice squad or something like that. They have no quarterbacks. They have one.
I just
Okay.
think it's so funny that they got rid of Jason Garrett's like pride and joy. What was the backup quarterback's name? that
Cooper
was over
Rush?
there? Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
He,
Like,
yeah, he played all right.
You know, when Jason Garrett got kicked out, Cooper had to have been like, "Oh man, I'm in trouble now," because the writing was on the wall. They're like, "Yeah, you can just follow him."
Oh
Um,
man.
But I thought it was amusing. I mean, because I don't know that he played all right. I think inexplicably he was just sticking around because
He won like
Jason
they played
Garrett's guy.
somebody. It was one game they played. I don't remember. I think it wasn't a holiday game because we beat them on Thanksgiving, but it was someone else they played, and he actually had a good game and like came through. But
Oh,
I don't
really?
remember who it was, or it was
'Cause I
one
think they
game.
sucked.
He started when somebody got hurt. It
Jacksonville?
wasn't somebody like it wasn't top tier, but I don't think it was bottom tier. There's somebody in the middle that they beat, but I can't remember it, so it can't be that good. I just remember his family being excited and him getting in and
You
and
hella
winning.
funny. Family being excited.
I
Hey,
mean, hey, that's an NFL dream, bro. You won the game. You ain't got no job now, but you won the game. You got some money.
I got a name for you, Glenn. I didn't know this guy was even playing in the preseason or was on even on the
Oh,
team.
Lord.
Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, he's with
Good
who's he with
man.
now?
No, he ain't with nobody. He got,
He got cut. Was he
by
on the Bears or
Bears,
somebody?
By the
Yeah.
Bears, yes. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's that's John Gruden's boy, man. That was
Yeah.
a grinder. You asked John
Yeah.
Gruden.
So
Boy was nasty in the preseason. Woo!
oh man. So
Preseason
yeah,
rock
He was
star,
going
huh?
stupid in the preseason last year, MVP. But didn't
Real-
matter,
real-
man.
real quick, any thoughts on who you think is going to be the worst team in the league? Because I think I have a shoe in who is going to be.
I hope it's not the Lions. I actually like the coaching and I like what they're doing right now. I really hope the Lions are
We'll
actually a
see.
solid
The
team.
Lions play hard. I mean,
Yeah.
they may not win a lot of games, but they play hard every game.
I vote for the Denver Broncos.
I
That's
know you.
wishful
I
thinking.
know you. Right.
And that's wishful thinking.
I
Yeah,
think the
you're
Falcons
damn right.
are going to be bad. I think the
I think
Falcons
it's gonna
are going to
be-
be terrible.
I think I was going to say it's either going to be the Falcons or the Seahawks.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, I don't know. I like Mariota. I think he might be able to do something. I don't know how many games they can win. Their division's not that great though.
Well, you know,
Nah,
They have
Mariota doesn't.
literally done everything they can to empty out the cupboard there.
Yeah.
The
Like
Bucks.
they're not trying to pay anybody. They're like, this guy's under contract, we'll keep him. But they're not trying. They didn't do anything to bolster that team.
Well,
And,
you know-
and in that division,
I mean, it's only the Bucks, right? The Saints are. We got to see.
Oh no, the Saints got
And then
D.
the Jags this week.
The Saints got D. I don't know how Jameis
Yeah,
going to
Saints
do,
defense is
but they
solid,
got defense. But
Yeah,
you
but
know,
that's
Marcus
cool.
Mariota only plays 8 games a year. It's 17. So I don't know how that's
Alright.
going to work out.
All right.
Don't
I mean,
know.
he was running a lot in preseason too when I saw him. So that's how you get hurt. But all right,
Yeah.
hey man, we're gonna see. So yeah, we'll talk about more about that next week. Let's slide over to this Lake show, man. We're making some fantastic moves, picking up key defensive players to go with Darvin Ham's new scheme.
Man.
I was telling Brian, anybody that Brian doesn't like in the NBA has gone to the Lakers. Everyone he said out loud that he has not liked in the last 4 years has gone to the Lakers.
and that's why we suck. Yeah, Jason, you need to get on a plane and go back to Jamaica and talk to him. He's clearly still at the bar drinking. He's allowing these trades and moves to go on.
Brian, I'm gonna let you start because I know Pat Bev is one of your all-time,
All time, I don't like him teams. So look, I don't have a lot of respect for Patrick Beverly. I think his mouth moves more than his game these days. And that's not to say that he was ever that he wasn't good at one point in time, but those days are clearly behind him, in my opinion. And the rest of the antics, it worked for Dennis Rodman. I think Pat Beverly thinks it's along the same lines. He's going after, superstars on podcasts and getting shut down by the league. He got traded to Utah and lasted for like 30 seconds. Minnesota, who he was gushing and crying over and talking about, we did it and this is my team and blah, blah, blah. He did his Terrell Owens impression over there in Minnesota, and they shipped him. And so I think the reality of it is he's just another bad idea by this Lakers front office. I mean, the one player who they verbally take shots about against each other all season long was Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly, and Russell Westbrook, went at him numerous times talking about, oh, he's not this, he's not that, blah, blah, blah. And now they're supposed to be the backcourt that's going to help us win a championship, help us win a division, help us win games. I just can't see it. I honestly can't see it. And at the end of the season, we're all gonna be hearing the same stuff. It's AD's fault. AD is being paid all this money to get across the finish line. Like, if you have zero guard play and you've got guards who actively are taking away from the ability for the ball to get up the court without getting thrown against the wrong rim, I just don't see how you can put this game together. Can he play defense? Sure, but there's no way that he's the difference between the team last year, which had some injuries but also had Russell Westbrook, and the team this year, which still has Russell Westbrook and now has added Patrick Beverly's attitude to the locker room. Jason?
Well, you know what? I like
ringing
the
endorsement.
move.
I know.
I like the move. I wasn't a fan of Talon Horton Tucker, and Stanley Johnson should have stayed in college, so I really don't care about them. I think the reason why I like the move is because I don't still anticipate Russell Westbrook being there for the season. I think Kyrie's going to be there, and so you have Kyrie, a guy who really doesn't play defense. You got Pat Bev, who does. I think that works out. I'm not saying it's like Clay and Curry, because they're a different level, but it's sort of that same yin and yang. So with Westbrook, yeah, I don't want to see that. Brian, when you text that, your TV was going to be turned off in October, I cried laughing because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I'm not watching this. I'm not watching those two in the backcourt. But no, hell no.
Call me in February, I guess,
right.
If you think that there's going to be a trade deadline
right.
move.
I'm not watching Brickfest 2022. I'm not going. I'm not watching that. So yeah, so that's the only reason why I like the move, because I just don't think Westbrook is going to be there. If Westbrook is still there, this is terrible. It's horrible. It's beyond terrible, because I could see if they were two defensive guards, but Russell Westbrook doesn't play defense. So I don't see how unless Darvin Ham wants to have them on the court 6, 7, 8 minutes a game, okay. But if he's trying to play him a lot of minutes, I don't know what that plan is. But like I said, I give Ham a pass if Westbrook is on the team on any of his coaching blunders.
But at a certain point in time, you've now bought into this whole thing. If they're adding to the craziness, look, the rest of the league just went out to the nearest Big Five and ordered a bunch of double rims to install. Because they just know damn well there isn't anybody in the Lakers team that can shoot. So they put them double rims, and you're going to hear a whole lot of just going left and right. They're going to have to reinforce the glass so they don't have to replace it at halftime. It's going to be a lot of bricks.
Now, Glenn, you're Mr. Optimistic out of all three of us.
Always.
Let me know how you feel about this move. Because when we shoot 21% from three. So go ahead.
Man, I don't know, bro. I don't know. My optimism has not served me well with this basketball team. So I don't know, bro. Pat Bev has been solid on the defensive end. I think there's been a little bit too much talking for the teams they've been on. But I also get how, you try and get into people's heads, but it hasn't worked because they ain't won nothing. So, the Clips didn't win like that. The Minnesota, I never was with that because they celebrated like they won a championship for winning a play-in game. I thought that was ridiculous. And then they lost anyway in the damn series. So I don't know, man. I think Darvin Ham is trying to build a team around his persona, right, of defensive-minded grinders. We just got to see if it can work with the personalities. I think the Warriors right now are doing it best because they're putting guys with personalities that work also in the scheme. It sounds like we're just trying to put guys in the scheme. So I don't know how the personalities are going to work, but I don't know, man. I ain't expecting us to win no damn ring. So
Yeah, yeah. The way the
So
Warriors are doing it though, they're putting pieces together, the right pieces together. Guys who could
Right.
shoot, guys who complement each other. The Lakers under Jeannie Buss, we're just patchworking, man. We're just
Yeah. Just
putting them
yeah.
together as they go along.
We need a defensive guy. Here's a defensive guy. Well, what?
Right,
How does he fit in with the rest of the team? I don't
right,
know. He plays defense though.
right.
he's he's an 8-3 guy, 3 assists and 8 points. Like, woohoo! We gave up.
I mean, yeah.
We gave up. Like, I'm not, like I said. We were talking about this before the show. Talon Horton. It's not that I'm disappointed to see him go, or I thought he was going to be some big talent, or Stanley Johnson. That's not it. Is that we had to have been able to get something better than a broken down Patrick Beverly, which Utah wanted to get rid of because they just basically decided they're going to give up. And we all know that. Like, they're getting rid of anybody and everybody. You could offer them a third round pick, which don't exist, in 6 years, and they would have been like, here's Patrick Beverly. Enjoy the 8-3 and 33% free throw shoot. Sorry,
You're talking about offense, man. There's defense too. There's some. He's going to slow down the top guys.
Yeah. How many steals did he have last year?
Oh, I don't be keeping up with stats, man. Or like just what
He averaged 1.2 a game.
energy.
So 1.2 a game.
So we're gonna get a steal out of him every game, Glenn. Once you see that one steal, turn off the TV. That's good. You're good. You got it.
But here's the thing:
I don't
he
watch no Laker
averages. I'm looking at it now. He averages 1.1 steal per game on the season. So again, I think his mouth and all the antics and him looking into people's eyes and ducking his head and all. I think the antics are what people think is defense.
You know who
when
said
it comes
that, right?
to actually stopping it, it's not.
You know who said
Russell
that?
Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. That's exactly who said that. He said he'd be fooling y'all. He's just running around doing nothing.
I can't see why he's wrong in that statement.
Hey, he's holding people accountable.
Okay,
he's calling people out.
I mean, if you're anybody who is not a Laker fan, you gotta love it all, because we're definitely making it easy for you.
Man. Yeah.
I just love all these Clipper fans. Like, we're gonna be number one. Like, number one what? Like, we're gonna be the best in LA. Like, like, how many rings is that gonna get you? How many
Sparks are still here, right? Sparks is still here, right?
Yeah, that's true. I like the Sparks team.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see.
I miss Candace Parker.
I know, man, and I saw Cambridge just came out too. But all right, so NBA, we'll see. We'll keep following the Lakers and some more NBA stuff as it comes up. Switching to a little bit of golf, man. Live versus the PGA. It's gotten a little hot and heavy, man. They got some more golfers. I don't know. The only thing is, I don't know if these tweets are true, but it's the one I read that had me dying was Liv was saying they're the best thing to happen to professional golf.
I think they actually did. I think I think that was real.
The PGA, to Jason's point previously, he was like, if you don't respond to it if you don't feel a threat, and they've responded at every step. They're changing the league, they're changing events, they're adding money, which is all good. They should have anyway. They added a salary floor, all stuff they should have been doing. But I'm wondering now if maybe Live Golf's point was just to get the PGA to step it up so these guys can come back to.
Absolutely not the point.
The league.
Saudi Arabian billionaires don't give two shits about whether the PGA is doing it.
I mean, maybe Greg Norman is a mastermind. You feel me? So he got the Saudi money behind it to upgrade the PGA because they don't care about
too much crying. He's literally been kicked out of all the clubs that he was a part of. He wasn't able to go to the Open in was it Scotland this last year. He wasn't able to go to the Open because
he couldn't go to the British.
No, man. They said, please do not come. You're not welcome at the dinner. Which he's won, and it's usually for past champions. He's blacklisted. So if he did this because he was so in love with the PGA, he went around it the wrong way. But look, there are plenty of people who are talking about how people like Phil Mickelson, who said one of the reasons why I'm entertaining going to Live is so that I can impact the PGA. He might very well be a mad genius, but I don't think most of these players are doing it.
They was just trying to get their bread, man. I know, I'm messing around.
Yeah, but it's sad to see Cameron Smith, because look, the reality of it is that the vast majority of people who went over to Live were not in their prime, or were past their prime, or weren't ever going to have a prime. But Cameron Smith is legitimately very good. He was a top 5 golfer this
Yeah,
year.
he's been playing good golf.
Yeah, I've always liked watching Harold Varner. I will miss watching him.
So
He came out today and said that he really hates being hated, and so this has been really difficult for him from the backlash. Man, you had to know it was going to happen if you wouldn't see it. But the live troll game by far the
top
best
notch.
in sports, and they have spent more money on social media bots than PGA has spent on social media. I mean, anytime there's a post that comes up for like that golf is hard or whatever, there's 55 live bots that post immediately. This wouldn't happen in live golf. This is when is live golf going to get its respect? It's all the same, junk, and it's all it's all the bots. For those who know about all that stuff. But anyways, you want me to go into the actual news versus the hype, or yeah. So for those who haven't been keeping score on the sidelines, there's a lawsuit from some of the players. They wanted to play in the FedEx Cup. They lost that. But there was a second part of that lawsuit in which they wanted to sue for the ability to play on the tour in general. And the Live Golf, the organization, just added themselves to that lawsuit and an amended suit. So that'll be interesting. It also means that there's a lot more money backing the lawsuit. I don't see how it goes anywhere. You can't tell a private organization that you have to allow players who have broken their very clearly defined rules. But anyway, so there was that, and then there was another trough of players, and there was 4 or 5 players. So at this point, I think I haven't looked at a live golf roster in a while. I don't look at their website, and I don't watch the matches because, quite honestly, who cares? But I think they've finally gotten names at most of the positions. Most of their rosters are actually pretty deep now, right? You're going to have ones with DJ and Harold Varner and like real names. And I don't know where Cameron Smith fits in the mix, but that's there. No one's going to watch it. The John Daly, I love this guy.
Yeah, he's a fool.
He was interviewed on a show, I think in Europe, and he was talking about live golf, and he's like, I should be on live golf. Like I'm exactly the kind of guy they want. And the reason for that is that live golf is just a party. It's like you go on the range, they're playing music, there's people all around, there's partying, there's drinking. He's like, that's me. That's why I should be there. And it's 100% correct, but it also kind of proved the point that live golf isn't really serious because on the range, there's music playing, there's people drinking, the flights over there are big parties. We've all seen the clips from on the planes. But that's kind of what's going on from a logistical standpoint. And then the BMW Championship for the European tour, the DP World Tour is happening. The live golf players who qualified for it are being allowed to play, but they've been told that they can't wear live golf logos. Problem is that the live golfers signed in their contract a requirement for any golf that they play on any tour to be able to wear the live golf logos. And so the question will be, well, what are they going to do if the golfers show up with live golf logos? Are they going to penalize them? They're going to tell them they can't play, or what are they going to do? And we'll see about that. And then there's also the third live golf event for all the blustering that's been going on. I think it's the third in Boston this weekend. So that's going, again, not on national TV. No one will watch it. I doubt anyone could tell me who's won the first 2 events. But it's still going. And then while we're talking golf, congratulations to Rory. What a great finish in Atlanta this past weekend. That was a hell of a lot of fun to watch. For those of you who didn't get to see it, the way that they do the playoffs is that the last event, the one who's accumulated the most points and has done the best gets starts it off at -10. And then the next one starts off at -7. And so Rory was, I think, six shots behind going into the final round and managed to overcome that and win the championship. And Scotty Scheffler is just a first-rate human being. His family was super gracious. He was super gracious. And I wish him nothing but best. But man, was it a lot of fun to watch that coming down the stretch to see if Rory could make it happen. It was the kind of golf that you want to watch. That's a live golf dig there. Anyone else have any thoughts or things on that one?
I think you kind of laid it out, man. It's been
Yeah.
interesting to see though. Like since we first started talking about it and all the changes that have occurred, to me, the most interesting thing is all the changes the PGA has made. I mean, they made a lot of changes to tournaments, to prize money, to having the $500,000 salary, which is dope actually. If you're going to be on the
That's
tour,
awesome.
you should, if you're a professional golfer, you should be able to make. If you're
A
going to be
living.
on their tour, you should be able to make a living doing it, right? They have enough money to pay those guys, and it's cool. You're not coming at a deficit to play golf. So I think it's there's some good changes that came from Live knocking on their door, but PGA is
Yeah.
always going to be it's
And
probably always going to be number one.
and also pretty cool is the whole Rory and Tiger collaboration they're going to do tournament golf
Yeah.
but it's basically virtual golf. And they're gonna play in a variety of venues, and there's some serious money. And then
Monday
the
nights
PG,
though, that was foolish.
but it's something that for those of us who have another thing going on. Is it Monday nights though, or is it Monday during the day?
I
I don't
thought it
know.
was Monday prime time, like so right
Maybe,
during football
maybe.
time.
But I'll have a second TV on that just to watch on silent. But yeah, and then they've added a series of more events where they're going to get their best players to play. The players have all said, "Hey, there's 20 tournaments a year. We're going to make sure that we play." And they added a lot more prize money to it. Again, that goes back to what Phil Mickelson said. So Mickelson may have been able to make his point, but I don't think anyone else really had a point that was made.
Indeed. Yeah, we're gonna see. I mean, so far, Liv's been talking, but they knocking on the door and they're making things happen. The PGA is definitely changing up. So
The only part of that they've definitely done a lot of stuff, but they're not knocking on any doors. They've made zero money. They have
oh yeah, I don't.
no viewership.
I'm talking about. I'm talking
They've made
about
no progress as a
only
league.
changes that have like the PGA definitely feels them because
Yeah.
they've made changes.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
didn't think we talked about it, like you said. I think anyone was going to actually watch it's too hard to find. Like
Mhm.
it's not convenient, right? And if you're not, again, only golfers watch golf, so it needs to be extremely convenient and very to get a person that doesn't play golf to watch golf. You're gonna have to do way more than they're doing. But it's been cool to see the impact they've had on the PGA because the PGA has made definite changes that relate directly to Live Golf's influence.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's been interesting to see. But yeah, it's been very interesting ride, man. Appreciate you guys. I think that's our show for today. Well, like we said, Coop said we're gonna have the live show next week, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right before game time next Thursday, September 8th. So come check us out. We'll be on YouTube. Find us here where you're seeing this. Come check us out, the Now Slapping page. That's my YouTube page. Thanks for checking us out. This is our last segment, the minute to win it, man. I was just gonna, for mine, just kind of shout out to the people of Jackson, Mississippi, as they're dealing with flooding and their infrastructure is failing. There's no water for the people. It's another humanitarian crisis. So just my thoughts with them, and hopefully one day we can kind of figure this out as a society, so this doesn't keep happening every single time there's a massive storm, because there's going to be more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna go with you, Glenn, on that one.
Yeah. I absolutely. My sympathy goes out to the folks in Jackson, but I also want to say to the folks local in Los Angeles, there's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. There's a bunch of fires that are going on in Santa Clarita, where I have people. They've actually shut down the 5 kind of up by
Damn.
Passaic for a fire, and every year there just seems to be this period of time where it's still hot, starting to get a little breezy, and these fires
Yep.
start raging, and then at the same exact time we've been pummeled with heat. Getting into the 110s was 109 today, but it's getting into the 110s, 110s, and our power grid is basically unable to catch it. So today,
Yep.
in which is pretty ironic, right? So we've signed a bill to in California to be off of only gas powered cars by like 2025. And the problem with that whole thing is that today they told those of us who have electric and electric hybrid cars to not charge our cars over the 3-day weekend if we can, because the power grid can't take it with all the heat that they're going to have over a 3-day
Mm-hmm.
holiday weekend. And so there's some things that are going on, and that's first world problems. I can't charge my car for a weekend, whatever it is.
Certainly.
But the people who are dealing with fires and dealing with the inability to air condition their houses in 110 degrees and all that kind of stuff, there is actual safety risks. And so my thoughts go out to them. Most importantly, the three of us, one of our closest friends, Dredd, his daughter has been in the hospital after a really tragic accident, and she's recovering. But I think I know all of our thoughts go out to Maya and Dredd, and 100%. We're all thinking of you, obviously, and maybe from a distance. But Dredd, if you hear this, please tell Maya we all love her and that we hope she recovers quickly, completely, and everything gets made okay. So. My heart goes out to them.
Love to Courtney too. Love you guys. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, talk. Definitely.
Appreciate you guys for listening. Be a great way to end it. We'll check you guys out next week. Thanks everybody. Sports Counterpoints podcast.